contrast, or artifacts, more fun. So we do the artifacts. Now, this lecture presupposes at least a fair amount of knowledge about, or some knowledge about MR. You know, there's a way in 45 minutes to cover everything. So you know, for especially the first year of the subject, don't worry if this year makes no sense. It's really geared to the people who are taking a physics examination up here. Hopefully they'll get a few questions on that, on some physics, right? And for people who pass it, physics. Okay, so let's discuss. What's the cause of the artifact communicated by the Q? So not the code word, just these horizontal. The answer is, we have a fair variety of what people are saying. We're going to see examples of many of these things. The correct answer is RF, radio frequency. So radio frequency, so MRI images, the basic matrix, put in some radio energy, the protons rotate out of the line of the magnetic field. They precess around there, emitting radio frequency energy, which is what you detect with your coils or your antennas. So, and you use the frequency you're at to make the images and divide them up. What would cause, so an RF leak is when there's some radio energy, radio frequency signal going on that's not coming from the patient's body. What could it come from? What in this, is there any radio frequency going on in this room? Lots, sure. Tune in your radio. You can hear anything you like. What else would be generated? So radio. So there is just radio energy everywhere. What else might generate radio frequency energy? Cell phones. I think they're in the radio frequency energy. Starting your car engine. Your starter go, chunk of metal spins in magnetic field. That generates radio frequency energy. Your ignition coils. The motor that runs a fan, etc., etc., etc. Any metal moving in a magnetic field. So the MR rooms, you'll notice, are if you look at the door, there's sort of this copper lining on the door, and it's actually around the whole room. And it's called a Faraday. It's making a Faraday cage, and so you have a conductive door. So what is the purpose of that conductive lining, conductive encasement of your MRI unit, of the whole room itself? So related to that question. So why do we surround the room in copper? There's copper bubbles surrounding the MRI machine. Just outside. Right? Go ahead.
Prevent outside RF from entering?
To block out outside RF. There's RF everywhere, more or less. It's all the radio stations are all transmitting. The resonant frequency is just below the radio station's transmission. So there's plenty of radio frequency energy just out there that we have to get rid of. A conductive box, a Faraday cage, isolates the radio frequency. Inside, that radio frequency energy doesn't get in. You can think it sort of conducts around through the shell around the outside. It doesn't affect inside of the room. But now we said, how can you get an RF leak? Most common ways, you don't quite close the door, and so a little RF is sort of sneaking in through the door. There's a RF shielding, have ports, there can be holes in it, sort of defects in the port, but also motors in the room, especially for anesthesia, maybe a pump or something that doesn't belong there, that can be generating. A Faraday cage is also what you see at the Science Museum when the lightning is striking the guy inside that cage. That metal conductive cage makes it so there's no RF field, no changing electromagnetic field inside the cage, even though they're huge and the bolts outside. Your E-ZPass foil surrounding your E-ZPass, if you don't want to use it, that's a Faraday cage. Cars or aircraft in lightning storm are conducting it around, so hopefully the field inside that metallic shell is zero, that conductive shell, even if it's standing on a ring. Okay, next question. What is causing the bending? This is a phantom, so 4 rods put into the bed, and they should be are straight. Why does it appear that this one is bent? What's the cause of that arc? B0 field inhomogeneity is the majority, and that is correct. The B0 field is the fixed magnetic field that's in. And we're in a B0 field, the Earth's magnetic field, about 100,000 or 50,000 of the strength of the magnetic field there. Remember the fundamental, so how does magnetic resonance localize things? By controlling the magnetic field. So if the magnetic field is distorted, where you localize the signal to will also be distorted. So the magnetic, you can imagine the magnetic field isn't 1.5 Tesla everywhere. It's a little stronger or weaker, and that distortion of the magnetic field will result in a distortion of the image. So B0, again, the B field is a magnetic field. B0 is the name of the fixed magnetic field, the non-changing magnetic field, with 1.5 Tesla. Spatial localization depends on it being uniform and will warp the image. Shimming is the act of adding and subtracting little bits of metal. So before you start a magnet up, or rather, before it's put into service, the field engineers go in there and shim it, adding little bits of metal and such to make the magnetic field uniform, just like the dynamic balancing of a wheel or a tire. Actually, there was one thing I wanted to go back here just to show. How to recognize this as an RF leak. It will be noise in one line of the frequency direction. So this would be the frequency direction is to figure out where the signal comes from. You have a magnetic gradient on during acquisition, and so this is at 62 megahertz, 63 megahertz, 64 megahertz. If you have interference at 63 megahertz, it will come across this zipper line, or RF feedback. Okay? So what's the cause of this distortion? B0 field inhomogeneity, B1, which is the gradient field inhomogeneity, RF inhomogeneity, cloudy separator, scattering separator. Most people now realize it's inhomogeneity, and what can't be B0 because it just is that way. B1, that is correct. So to spatially localize, where the signal came from, you can think of imaging as two parts. One is to make the signal, make it white, make it black. The second is to figure out where it came from. If you only did one of those things, what would that be called? Just figure out the signal strength of the spectrum. In the case of MR. That's NMR, nuclear magnetic resonance. That was what was discovered in 1948 or so. That to figure out, you just blend up whatever chemical it is, you want to figure out the structure of, put it in an NMR. But you're not figuring out left, right, up, down, front, back. MRI, the imaging, is adding in the B1 gradient to figure out top to bottom, make the field stronger at the top, stronger at the bottom. Change the resonant frequency proportionally. That's called the left. That's the equation that relates radio frequency to magnetic field strength. Without Lamour, right. The perfect is like the simple it could be. The radio frequency is proportional to the magnetic field. So if you can control the magnetic field, you control what is the frequency that they're processing. So this is